Like at one point we had what 5 or 6 players injured. Was it Frank, DSJ, Burks? Who else is injured? Omari Spellman, Obi.
And Obi.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's out of
Yeah.
control.
But it's crazy for DSJ and Frank because how you get injured and you don't even play? Where you got time to get injured at? It don't make no. It don't make no.
We got injured at
It don't make.
practice. We talking about practice?
What's surprising is Frank Ntilikina. Is he still on the Knicks? Like,
He's injured. He got a bad knee apparently.
God, no, because I'm looking through like our roster and like you have all the players listed as like coaches did not play, coach's decision, and all that. You don't see Frank's name anywhere. I'm like, what's going on with him?
Yeah, he's probably one of the part of the inactives that's not going to be listed
Gotcha.
because of the injury. Yeah, there's a couple players that we haven't. You know what? Let's talk about some of these players that might not have homes anymore, and that's going to be DSJ and Frank Nitty with the emerging.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with the emerging guard play that we're seeing from Peyton, what we're seeing from Rivers, that we're seeing from IQ and Burks when he comes back, and you have RJ who's going to be a lock at shooting guard regardless. I don't really see much space for DSJ and Frank Nitty on the return.
No, I mean Dennis Smith Jr. He's listed like he's able to play. He's just coach's decision.
Well, I think
he's not getting them.
I think he's still hurt too. They're just listing them as DMPs, but I think DSJ still got a little injury with him as well. They're both injured right now, but I don't know where they're gonna fit into the rotation.
Denver.
Yeah, which neither Frank or DSJ will probably play in. Like where they fit into the rotation is beyond me because you have Elfrid Payton, who I'm not a fan of. Everybody on the channel knows I'm not a fan of Elfrid Payton, but I got to give it to him. He's been playing well. So you have Elfrid Payton, who's a starter, who's entrenched as the starter. Then you have RJ Barrett, the 2 guard, entrenched as the 2 guard. You're not moving him. Now, to back him up, you got Austin Rivers, who could play either the one or the 2. You got IQ.
And who just proved his spot.
Exactly. Who helped win us a game, pretty much. He scored 14 straight points and was instrumental in us securing that W. So you got Austin Rivers, who could play the 1 or the 2. Then you have IQ, who could play the 2 in my eyes, but I think based on Basketball Reference, they've said he's played 100% of his minutes at the 1. So IQ. And then you still have Alec Burks. Alec Burks is coming back, and Alec Burks could either play the 2 or the 3. So where are we going to find time in this rotation for Frank and DSJ? Now, I'm more worried for DSJ because at least Frank has a role as a defender. You know what I'm saying? If somebody killing, you just say, all right, Frank, bother him for like 5-10 minutes, and then you good. But DSJ, the fact that he's not been able to score efficiently, he's not been good as a passer or a facilitator. I mean, he's been pretty decent as a defender in those preseason games. I won't sit here and knock him for that. He was a decent enough defender. But where are we going to find time or find minutes for these players, Inf? Let me know. I need to know.
DSJ might find himself out of the league. I mean,
hot take.
At the end of the day, I mean, the Knicks have been that team that you go to die at the end of the, like, you go to the Knicks, and if you don't do good on the Knicks, being that there's no one else to do good, teams don't want you. They just don't. So if he loses his starting spot to other Knicks players and he loses all his minutes, what team is going to want to play that the Knicks don't want?
Hey, but we got a new Knicks team this year. This is a Knicks team that's above 500 percentage win percentage. So we don't want them because we got good players now. Somebody else might need him.
I just don't see it. I think he might unfortunately end up out of the league. You might hear Dennis Smith Jr. signs for a G League team or something. It is what it is. It happens. I mean, every year, tons of players find themselves without a contract, and this might be the year for him.
Yo, if you
Sorry,
terrible. Or we said every year players don't get contracts, and this might be the year for him.
I don't know what to say. Frank, I feel like Frank, he's gonna be fine. If we don't pick him up, or if we just let him go. Every team always wants defenders. So teams that don't have that many guards, Frank is gonna be fine. Dennis Smith, anyone can find a guard who can try to score. He's not. I mean, for some reason, athletic players have just been dwindling down, turning into shooters, or just out of the league. Like, look at Blake Griffin. He ain't an athletic player no more. He's a big man with a jump shot.
Well, Blake Griffin's old with bad knees.
Kenneth Faried, who was known as the Manimal, he ain't even in the league anymore. He's out as far as I'm aware.
I remember at one point they wanted us to draft him. At one point they really wanted us to draft. I remember reading that, and like this is like when I used to read the newspaper. It was like the Post or the Daily News. It was like, we should draft him. I'm like, how? Kenneth Faried? I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Mind you, I mean, when he first started, he was a beast.
He was a beast,
athletic,
yeah, but he couldn't shoot.
Yeah. And that's not the game anymore.
Yeah. He was like, nah.
The game now, athleticism is nothing. So Dennis Smith Jr. is quiet. He's real quiet for him.
Yeah. I feel sad for DSJ, you know. He said he didn't want to come to the Knicks. They end up drafting him, and now he's not even good enough to play for the Knicks. That's a hell of a story, bro.
Or like now he's probably kicking us out. Like, this is why I didn't want to come here. I knew it was gonna violate me. I hate it here.
He probably over there blaming us for it too. Like, nah, bro, you just a bum. You know,
like they tarnished my name. So do something. Score.
Facts.
Make a basket.
And like, why are they always injured? It's DSJ and Frank Ntilikina always injured. There's no, like, I don't understand. I don't think our medical staff is that bad for these players to be getting injured to this level. I hope, like, at one point we had 5 or 6 players injured. Was it Frank, DSJ, Burks? Who else is injured? Omari Spellman, Obi,
and Obi.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's out of control. Yeah.
But it's crazy for DSJ and Frank, because how you get injured and you don't even play? Where you got time to get injured at? It don't make no sense.
They got injured at practice. We talking about practice?